Hey guys, welcome to the Eagle Farm preview, and we've got probably the premier meeting in the whole of Australia is on at Eagle Farm on Saturday, and I've got a couple of crowd favourites on here. GK, how you going, mate?
Good mate. Queensland destroying New South Wales as per usual. Always brings me joy.
Okay, and money as well, by the
Of
sounds of
course.
things. Yeah. And Sooty, tell us what the atmosphere. You were at the game last night. Was it any good or?
Yeah, for about 5 or 6 minutes it was, and then it was terrible.
Yeah.
That sinking feeling when it's like your horse missing the kick by 3 or 4 lengths. You're like, I don't even get the excitement of that ranging up the 200-meter mark, then failing.
Now, you
So
know what's so funny? They missed a kick, Sooty, and then they do a beautiful 8-4. You know what I mean? And they catch up, and they're only 2 lengths in front, and they give people false excitement because they can't maintain it.
and then it goes backwards. So we didn't even get any of that. But they were just tearing down that side that first 5 minutes anyway. So you knew New South Wales were in trouble from the start. So I don't think they would have won anyway. But at least they would have had some crack. They did show some fight there in the middle, but obviously the effort told in the end there.
It's going to be really interesting how I bet in the next game after what happened there. I think there could be an overreaction. Anyway, we're at Eagle Farm for group racing, and GK, we're +2.5, and fine weather and wind not a factor from what I'm looking at. How are you handling it?
Yeah, look, I think with the track drying out and rail 2.5, I think it's probably more likely than not it's going to favour on speed rather than what we saw last week in particular, out wide, off speed. I'm thinking probably lanes 2 to 5 are probably the spot. That's what I'm thinking, at least initially. Maybe later in the day, they might fan wider, especially once we get to the Oaks when there's 18 of them or whatever. But I think it's probably going to go up a 4 in the morning, but I think it's actually going to be more like a 5. Like that's what we've seen. Like last week, it was absolutely farcical that they called it a 6. It was pretty much like an 8, right? So
yeah, it just cuts up so much, doesn't it?
And that's still the concern, that they'll call it a 4, but there could be kickback, and I think it's going to be more like a 5 personally. There'll still be
that's a good angle for guys like us, because I think some real good angles for us is when we disagree with what is publicised by the mainstream media, shall we say, and we've got the ability to make better adjustments.
There's plenty of angles when you're sort of betting against what the information that Queensland Racing put out. So
yeah, okay. And Sooty, how's the track going to play? And is that Herbie the beetle bug I see on your desk behind you there, or?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yes, I used to love Herbie when I was a kid.
So did I. Those movies. The movies.
They're the best. Herbie goes bananas. And,
anyway, what are you looking for on the card?
Hopefully a fair track. It's been a real struggle, both here and in Hong Kong, with the wet, and the track's just not being able to handle it. Kickback. So it's been a constant theme across a lot of tracks. I'm hoping it's a lot fairer. Obviously, with 3 or 4 days, fine weather, I'm hoping the track improves and that top layer can not just come back in everyone's face like it has been. So hoping for an improved track, and I'm hoping for something a little bit different than what has been. I'm just hoping for fair, but going in expecting something different.
Beautiful. Well, let's get stuck into it. Race 1 over 1,810 meters, and I've had a few people ask me to get you back on the show, and I don't think they've given you everything you want in this first race, Sooty, but have you found a winner?
Normally I do the quaddy legs first. I do quaddy legs and then come back to race 1. But for Doomben and Eagle Farm, I've been doing race 1 first and then going through the card that way.
Well, the press is on, mate. That's why.
No, it is. Yeah, and I've got flipped a few ways here. I was just off my ratings. I thought, okay, here we go. Age of Sale. This is a really good bet here. This is a good horse. And then I went and had a look at those trials. And the first trial, I was like, oh, yeah, he didn't try real hard. And the second trial, you're scrubbed, and that other thing on the inside went straight past you. So there's a couple of things here. Was the 1,200 meters too short? And was the heavy track not suitable? Like, that's the only thing you can excuse it for. When you're looking at those prices around that $3.40 mark. You want every tick, or I do anyway. I want lots and lots of ticks, and I don't want any crosses, and so I can't have the 10. I've got number 7, Princess Rainus on top. So we've got third up now, coming back from Fillies and Mares Group 3, coming back to a benchmark 90, going from Damien Lane, who's good, but getting J-Mac. Before that, we had Vlad Jurek. So only going up 2.5 kilos, coming back from that Group 3. This is right in this race. I'm really, really keen. With J-Mac on, barrier 6, I think it's going to go really well. Its last 2 wins been over 2,000, so going up to 1,800 is no concern. Very keen it. Looking for another bet in the race. There is one here that I originally went to, was number 11, Brookhaven. The problem for it is it's got no Saturday creds. Last time it was on a Saturday, it was short, it was 4-1, but failed, got beaten 6. So there's concerns there regarding it. It was 20-1 last start in that Gringotts race. So there are concerns around it, but ratings wise, if it rates some of its midweek race, it could go well, but it would need those top 2 to fail. So maybe having something late in the fair, probably 30s Brookhaven, but big bet in the race, number 7, Princess Rainus.
GK.
Yeah, look, I think the market has it relatively right. Like I can't get away from the 3 favorites in the market here: Age of Sail, Princess Rani, and Sunset Soiree. I think they kind of picked themselves. Look, I've backed Age of Sail when markets came out. It was 350 or something. I just really liked the 2 previous runs in Sydney, and I like these horses that come from overseas as we get further along. He's had a few runs now. I like the type of horse it is. I think as we start to step up and trip, it's going to really suit. So I've got Age of Sail on top. Princess Rani's the clear danger for me coming out of that form line. And Sunset Soiree just gets in light. I liked the win last week. I think it's a danger, but yeah, Age of Sail clearly on top for me.
Yeah, I'm back in number 7, Princess Rainey's, and I'm pretty keen. This is a horse that has always shown it's got a lot of ability, and if you've shown you got a lot of ability, and maybe sort of like slightly different, disappointed on a few occasions, when you stick J-Mac on, you got map options from 6. I just butter up, third up into the preparation. You're talking about ticks and crosses, there's a lot of ticks next to this horse, except for the fact that we expect a horse with its talent to have won more than 4 out of 24 races. But I think it's found the right race. There's one that you guys haven't mentioned that I am going to have something on. It's number 5, Nico Spur. That was a really good run last start against some good quality horses that we can line up into the others. And then obviously we know that it's done some really nice stuff at the track as well. And it's $15 to find out. So I'm Princess Rainiers from number 5, Nico Spur. And yeah, I'm happy to play that and risk the 10 for the reasons that Sooty's mentioned. Maybe we can do a bet, GK. Maybe we can have a bet.
100%.
It's a nice little head-to-head bet there. Do you guys want to have a billion with each other? With each other? Sooty, do you want to take it? I'll take it if you don't take it.
Against that other one, Age of Sail, definitely.
Okay, there we go. You got to shake, mate. It's got to be on camera. Yeah. Race 2, 1,200 meters. GK?
It's an interesting race. I think it's pretty deep, even if it's not that strong for Class 6. I think we know most of these pretty well and what they're capable of. There's a lot of pretty inconsistent animals in this race. Look, I think there looks to be decent enough tempo. I would really want to have a look at race 1 before I get too heavily involved here, just to see what happens with the track, because where some of these are drawn is pretty important. Like, you know, there's already been support for Mullane, which might be a bit of J-Mac tax, but it's drawn out there. And, you know, if it looks like the inside's complete dog shit, well, then, you know, Mullane potentially could be a bet depending on what price it gets to. But in any event, look, what I've found at present is I think Vodka Martini potentially finds the right race here. I'm sort of a little bit torn about whether this is the race for it or whether actually going back to the 1,000 race 4 is better. But nonetheless, I've got Vodka Martini, I think is potentially a bet here. When I look through the profile of this horse, it really builds, and it seems like third up, fourth up is really its time when it starts to sort of produce peak performances. So that's probably possible again. It can probably take a sit off some of the tempo. One at huge odds that I think is a big improver on a dry deck is TikTok Queen. Hasn't had a lot of races to suit recently, but really needs dry ground, this horse. There's others here, you know, which are going well, Mullane, Pizarro, but look, I want to have a look at race 1. I want to see what the track looks like before I get too heavily invested here.
Beauty. And Sooty, this looks like your kind of race, mate. Right distance range, exposed form. Got a real Hong Kong feel about it. Did you find something?
Yeah, J-Mac on barrier 20. Like it's
There's angles, isn't there?
yeah,
Yeah.
I've flipped both ways. Mullane's the real big guide in this race as to which way you go. Barrier 18. This could be perfect. It could be horrible. So I've got number 4 Mullane, number 5 Pizarro, number 8 Vodka Martini all equal. I have got a 2.5 kilo penalty in there for Mullane being out in 18. Not sure if we're going to know after race 1 what's good and what's bad, but at the moment I'm going to side with barrier 2 being okay. So looking to back number 5 Pizarro. Third up, it's won first and second up. Won a class 6 at Ipswich, which is the midweek race. I was 10-9 there, so I was well on the market, expected to do it. It's won. It's got James Orman. So more than happy to be on it with some of those ratings back in the day, back at Randwick, up to winning this race. So happy to be on number 5 Pizarro. Also looking for value. I've got number 14 My Snow Queen as value. I've got it around the 8-1 mark. It's currently $18. Third up, again, this horse is coming off a win. It was 9-1 last start in the benchmark 85. It's goes from 2 out to 11, so it's going to probably be in midfield. So it's probably a good hedge between the other two. But winning form's good form. Third up, happy to have it at those prices. So just 2 bets at the moment for me. Number 5 Pizarro, number 14 My Snow Queen.
Well, I'm going to back the 2 ex-Sydney siders that have the figures to own this race. And the one I've got on top is number 5 Pizarro. Now, people are probably going to mark it down for, you know, Ipswich, midweek stuff, small margins. But horses up in grade, this is obviously up in grade, but it has previously performed fantastic in grades above this. And when you're doing that up in grade stuff, I really like when you're a run-on horse. So it'll do no work from 2, and it can reel off late sectionals to actually beat these. And then I'm getting $9 to find out. So I thought that was the easy play in the race. And the other one, which is a super easy play, guys, and you know we're going to get 50s. It's 50-1 at the moment. Is number 7 Hell I Am. I don't give that as big a trainer change as some other people, John O'Shea to Daniel Seeb, because I have Danielle Seeb, because I've got a big opinion of Seeb. And if you notice, a trial, she's got it, okay? So she's bought it. They would have spent some money, because remember, this horse was going to cure cancer at a certain stage. Like, it was going to be a group performer. And then obviously something went wrong. Now it's changed. It's gone down to a country environment in Goulburn. It trialled pretty poorly, and then was an all right run at Wagga. But then, interestingly, that next trial at Goulburn there over the 800 meters, that was really nice. If she's turned this on, what a great 50 stance it is. So, yeah, I'm 5 from 7 and happy to play. Geez, have you noticed this, guys, so far? GK is going for the local trained and raced horses, and we're going for something a little bit more southern. Sooty, I thought you were going to stop doing that in your form analysis.
Well, it's had the run up there now, so I only include that one.
Yeah.
Tony Golan's from Queensland, isn't he?
Well, yeah. He's
the trainer of Mullane and Pizarro.
Yeah, he's an A grade trainer in Brisbane, therefore a C grade trainer in in Sydney. So,
Yeah, but he's a Queenslander, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah. Race 3, 1,500 meters. GK?
I hate this race. This race is just vomit for me. Look, there's a real lack of tempo in this race that I can see, which makes it really difficult to have a firm view, especially when a lot of these fancies are off speed types, and I'm just not sure how the race is going to be run. Like, it could be quite muddling sort of tempo. And then you throw in the fact we've got 2-year-olds stepping up and trip, to a distance that a lot of them haven't been to before. There's a lot of variables into the mix here that makes this pretty vomit worthy. Look, obviously I liked the win of the favorite, but what is that? Like, really? I was like, okay, yeah, Pisces was in the inside. Yep, sure.
Well, if it helps you, I think Pisces is close to a moral in race 1 at Flemington on Saturday. So,
yeah. But there's going to be no tempo here. Look, what price is it now? Like $1.80 or something? Like, there's no way that I could get it that short in this race. So, I think it's unders. Then I look at the others, like the local form's pretty much dog shit. So then you're left with the other Sydney siders. There's a couple there that there's some sort of interesting things with Canara and Imperialist, but it's hard for me to get too excited. There's other bits and pieces, throughout the race with interesting form lines, but I just do not like the race, and I think I'm just going to sit out.
Penny. Sorry?
Didn't even look at it good.
Okay, well, it's my kind of race, so I am going to be betting. I'd say Emilius is close to a moral. The thing you got to determine is the 12 to the 15. See, man, like, I mean, you got problems with the map, GK, okay? But I mean, it's now out of an inside draw up 300 meters. Couldn't it posse up? And then the sectionals it'll be able to do late will just absolutely own these.
Well, you would think so, and like I'd love to know that information. Like, if you knew that they were going to be positive, right? Well, it would kill these. Like, it's got panels on the local form, so
Yeah.
it's just, there's a few things there, and at the price, like, we're talking.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's kind of like one where I want to take 6 to 4.
Yeah.
But am I ever going to get 6 to 4? I understand that, but I could see it. You could see it shitting in, GK. Is what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
it could be like after the race you reprice it like 140 kind of a thing. So.
Well, I don't do that because that would just, put salt in the wounds. But yeah, look, of course.
Look, I thought it's clearly on top. I'm going to back at whatever price, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to hope for some resistance because of map guys betting into it. And the other one I think that's got a good chance is number 2, Calzini. I don't, this thing has been in Brisbane before, GK, so you probably know it pretty well from, that run at Doomben there.
Yeah.
Like, that's not too bad for a horse that had the thumps.
Yeah, like I had it 4th in my numbers, right? And I thought the win at Goulburn was fine and everything. I was also just like, what is that? Like, obviously that's just crap, right? Like, that's rubbish, but it's not the worst.
See, my thing is that look, I'm obviously looking for some DF there, and at least it is definitely proven over the 1,500 meters. I was very surprised that it went up the price it did. It was one where I thought, oh, beauty, I'm going to throw something on it at longer odds. And the market was found it a little bit more than I expected them to. But I'm 8 Emilius, probably a moral from 2 Calzini. Let's move on to race 4 over the 1,000 meters, and it's exposed and it's a sprint. Sooty, come on, mate.
It's 1,000 meters though, so 12 to 1,600 meters. Good.
You just wins all the time, mate. Like, cheer up.
Well, there's
Look
like
at
100.
He's frowning as well.
There's 100 races every day, and I can pick 10 to 12 1,200 to 1,600 meter good track races. So why bet on the other? I'd actually like this race. I've got number 10 Extravagant Star and number 11 Steady Ready even on top. So I've got them a little hard to price, but anywhere between 5 to 1, 6 to 1. But number 11 is currently $15. So more than happy to back it. 3 wins are over 1,000, 900, 1,050. So I'm saying it's a 1,000-meter horse. It last prep rated really well though over its 1,200, 1,200, 1,300 meter start, but I think it's a 1,000-meter horse. Back first up, the Calandra was on the heavy 10, opened up 5 to 1, got out. So I'm saying it didn't handle the track. More than happy to revert back to that price that it was before. Its ratings are huge. I think it's going to bounce back here and run a really good race at $15. So have backed it and very keen. Number 11, Steady Ready.
Yeah, there's a bit of value there. Jesus. GK?
Yeah, like things sort of change depending on whether we know Extravagant Stars in at Sydney or not. Because I think it's nommed in like race 8 or something. And I haven't seen any news about that. So that's pretty significant because that I have
I think it'll race in Queensland, GK. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, my only slight concern with Extravagant Star is about 1,000. I'm not sure it's actually a 1,000-meter horse. Like it's not a specialist, right? Like some of these. So that would be like one small query. Look, I thought that the win of Golden Boom last start was actually really good. It was 5 wide early and then it had to cross Fort Hard. It was in the right part of the track that day and it was a little bit on speed favored that day as well. But, you know, that potentially could be the same situation here. So like, I find it hard to just get rid of Golden Boom. So look, I've got Golden Boom on top, then I've got Extravagant Star, depending on if it's here. There's a few others there. Again, Vodka Martini if it's here. And then I've got a few at big odds that I've had something on. So first one is Petronius, won the race last year. I'm always wary of these connections. Lockwood. Its last few runs have been a bit mixed, but it's one that it can sit just behind the speed and it can really unleash a really strong turn of foot. Like it started $6 in the main lead-up race in the Ascot, and you know finished 2.5 lengths off the winner. It's a ridiculous price in this race. Like I thought it should have been about a third of that price. And another which doesn't really have the ratings, but it is a real 1,000-meter horse. And it's probably been the surprise packet of the winter up here is this Bring Me Cash down the bottom. So there are a couple of huge odds. I potentially would have something Golden Boom if the price gets out a little bit more.
Tell you what, we're finding different angles here. Me on top, I have number 1 Shooting for Gold. I love fresh horses over 1,000 meters. You put J-Mac on it. You've got lines, the A-grade lines up in Queensland. You know, last start at Eagle Farm over the 1,000 was against all that Piaz. That's looking pretty good. And Jesus, it came home nicely. So it was ridden by Justin Huxtable on that occasion. This time it's got J-Mac on. J-Mac on. J-Mac on and blinkers first time. Wow, that's showing some intent for me. So hopefully everybody sign up for Nick's information because I'm going to make sure he gives me a comment on Shooting for Gold because if it's ready first up, I think it's a great chance. And the lead of J-Mac is gold. I found a decent roughie here, guys, which is number 6 Deepaw. Just forget about all the 1,200 stuff. Like this horse had a bit of a rap about it. And I think we now know that it is just a 1,000-meter horse. And it's interesting with these horses that can only do 1,000 meters where they have breathing issues, and we've got tongue tie again. So look, tongue tie is a negative, but it's not a negative when a horse is $34 and it might be the secret to it over 1,000 meters. So I was 1 from 6 in that race, and it is a really open race. Let's move on to race 5 over the 1,500 meters. And, well, this is, come on, show me some excitement, Sooty. Come on, this is looking right, man. This is exposed. This is in your distance range. What's going on?
You're very keen this race.
I don't know. We don't talk beforehand, but sometimes you get a feel.
Yeah, I've got number 3, Yellow Brick on top. I've got it around the $2.30 mark. It's currently $2.80. I think it's definitely the best horse. Got J-Mac, barrier 3, tick, tick, tick. Only concern here is it hasn't won for a long time. Its last win was 12 months ago at Caloundra, but it's third up now. Comes from the Group 3 back to the listed race. Goes from Opie Bosson to J-Mac, so very, very keen. It's been a sprue course for a long time. Strung a lot of wins together early. Its ratings are right up there, so there aren't, like, other than not winning for a while, there's no negative for it. So when I'm going to bet, though, I'm not sure. Haven't backed it yet. I'll probably back it late, seeing how the track plays. But yeah, definitely keen to be on it. My best value in the race, and the horse I have backed already, is number 6, Colino. So I've got it around the $4.60 mark. It was $11.20 when I backed it. Third up now, coming up from Sydney. It's been a fairly consistent rating horse. So rated 51 in that Flemington win, rated 51 in the Rosehill win, 50 in the Rosehill win before that. So it's rated a 50 last start at Scone. Third up now, give it around that 51, which puts it right in that 4-1 range. I think Tommy from 4, it's good. Got a good winning strike rate, 25 starts, 7 wins. More than happy to give it its best and back it. I think $11 is a crazy price. So looking for 2 bets there. Number 3, want to have a big bet on Yellow Brick, and very happy with the $11. Number 6, Colino.
Beauty, GK.
Okay, well, I think Yellow Brick is unders. Yeah, it comes through the strongest form line and gets J-Mac. This horse, it just has a tendency to get really dour quickly and lose a turn of foot. I couldn't get it anywhere near that price personally. I've priced it a little bit more than the current market price, not a huge amount. I've got What Goes on top. I backed it when they opened $4.50. I think it's into $3.50 or something now. I just loved that last win. It just absolutely put them to the sword. I love how versatile this horse is in the run. Trips no problem. It's going to have a map advantage over Yellow Brick. It's going to be in front of it in the run. I think it's going to be very hard for Yellow Brick to run What Goes Down. I think those two are clearly the top 2, and I would be surprised if one of those two didn't win. But yeah, happy to have got on What Goes at $4.50.
Yeah, it's an interesting lineup because you've got sort of like the one What Goes down in weight, but up in grade, and then you've got like what was going to be a star in number 3, Yellow Brick. GK, Jesus Christ, man, we're going to be doing a lot of battling on Betfair on Saturday. I reckon Yellow Brick's immoral. I think
it's overrated.
So do I. But this is the right race, man.
Yeah,
there's overrated, and there's like, okay, here to Shock Freedom. You know what I mean? Like, that's A grade stuff. We're third up. There's no problem with third up.
A grade?
For this,
maybe.
Yeah. Like, I mean, look at its third up runs. You want to have a go at its third up runs. Second to Red and Air. Jesus Christ, that's looking solid. And then a dominant win over 1,400 metres at Eagle Farm, third up as well. So I don't have a problem with third up around these distance ranges at the track. It comes out of the strongest stuff. It was a really good run last start, and I get a massive positive jockey change.
On my stuff, What Goes rating last start is stronger than Yellow Brick's last 10 starts.
I understand that, but I mean, for me, I just think, when you do it against weak opposition, I think sometimes that figure is a little bit unreliable.
Sure.
But I understand it. And to be honest,
GK, what do you do with the weight there? So dropping 61.5 to 55 What Goes. How do you equate that in lengths or pounds difference between the two? Because I find that you drop 6.5, you don't rate 6.5 better. You come right back. So that rating there he's not going to get anywhere near that rating with that lower weight.
Yeah. Look, I agree with that. And, that's where it sort of becomes a bit more of an art than a science, I guess, about how you sort of
Yeah,
manage that sort of the rating versus that. So it's not simple. And it's not A plus B, is it? But when I look at the ratings I've got, especially because it's about the price, right? Like
Mm.
I have the rating of Watergoes still as higher to Yellow Brick, where I think if Watergoes effectively produced the same performance last time, I think it can beat Yellow Brick, and especially when
And
I'm getting
that's
a
with
bigger
61
price.
and a half.
And
You're,
that's,
you're
I'm
saying
also
it
getting,
could beat it with 61 and a half kilos in this race?
no, I'm saying if it produces the same performance with
Well, that
these conditions.
okay, yeah. It is an interesting one because I can see there being a lot of money for Watergoes. Knowing what certain people do in certain circumstances. Race 6 over the 1,200 meters, and GK.
Yeah, look, I didn't really like this race either at present. So the tempo looks pretty strong, but it's definitely a race where I think I want to have an idea about the track condition and the pattern here. Like the favorites have drawn a little bit sticky, so I think that does bring in the sort of the pattern again. When I looked at the race and I sort of tried to look for an angle or a form line, like the line that I could find that sort of jump out at me was that Sir Louis line where, there's that hedge race at
Yeah.
Caulfield where I thought it had every chance, to be honest, Hedge there. And then Sir Louis is tied in sort of through Moravia and others as well. I just think Hedged is too short. Like on its peak rating, you would say that Hedged is going to win this race, but we're deep into the prep now, and I just don't know. So like I've got Hedged nowhere near that price. I've got Moravia and Inhibitions as probably the key dangers, but I'm not really comfy with either of those positions either. So I'm kind of a bit grayed up about the race, to be honest. And I think unless I get a lot of new information about pattern, I might just sit this one out.
Beauty. Sorry?
I went into this race saying 3-year-old race. I don't really want to do it. And wow, I got pretty excited by the end of it. I think there's two hopes here. Number 1, Hedged. Number 6, Inhibitions. The one Hedge, though, they've both done a bit of Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. The one, though, is coming off the flat run, Caulfield. Yes, it's had 42 days, but I'd like to see it again before I took $3. So I'm gonna, I've got it. I've done 2 prices today, Gord. I did Gord pricing and I did the system generator pricing. So I'll give you 2. I've got these probably $2.50 each, and I don't want to come off the flat run coming from Melbourne up to here to take $3 for Hedged. But Inhibitions has had the run last start here at Eagle Farm. It's off the freshen as well. It's Cummings horse, J Mac. Did you see that trial at Rose Hill? They were just hard held, making ground on the inside there. I don't know what the times, how the times lined up, but just looking at it, just looked like it was.
It was good, man.
It was just pulling itself on the rail through. They were trying to make it run last, and it pulled itself into second or third. This horse was wide throughout last start, where it was 3-1. It's a very short, a 3-year-old open race. Its ratings before that, Caulfield, very, very good. Its rating back the prep before was the same. So I rated it equal to its last 2 peaks and under what it did last time at Eagle Farm. That trial was sensational. I don't see too many negatives with this horse. And how it's $7.50, I don't know. I thought I did something wrong, went back over and checked it, said, why is this thing $7.50? I couldn't find it, so I've unloaded. Very, very keen.
And you're copping some resistance too.
Yeah, I think it's bet of the day. If it wasn't a 3-year-old race and it was an open class race, I'd be more excited because they can tip over the edge, particularly when it's 6th start this prep. But I like the 35 days reset. I'm happy to, I'm bringing you down from your last rating. I've rated you what you've done your last 3 preps. It's just tick, tick, tick here. So I think it's a fantastic bet and my bet of the day. Number 6, Inhibitions.
Yeah, 17 starts for 3 wins is an obvious stat that you sort of look at in this circumstance, but then you think, okay, well, how many times have they run it over 1,200 meters? They've run it 7 times over 1,200 meters for 3 wins, 2 seconds, 2/3. So they've just been fiddling around with this horse to, get it to get some good stuff for the breeding lines, and they've realised now this is just a 1,200 meter horse. You trial like a bomb. Your JMac. Now, normally I have a problem with late preparation blue colours horses, but when they freshen up and trial and you stick JMac on, I can tell you guys that's a massive lead that the horse is dead set airborne. Clearly on top for me, number 6, Inhibitions. And the danger for me is number 4, Ostraka. I think people are getting a little bit too carried away about the fact that a bush horse has beaten it last start. It's just running really honestly. Nisham on the spike, and I love Sherry off for Shin on, double figure odds to find out if one of the other two, the first and second. Oh, sorry. Well, the major favourite Inhibitions actually isn't even anywhere near that at the moment, but yeah, so I'm Inhibitions from Ostraka and really happy to risk Hedge. Hedge is one that if it shows up and wins, I'm just sort of happy to lose in the race. So, yeah, pretty keen to bet there. Race 7.
Stable, like the price camp stable, like, yes, okay, they won the Derby by 400 meters, but there's been a number of horses that they've brought up here in recent years that are spruiky type horses that go under.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it is interesting. It's not a stable that I really strongly look for. I like really good trainers that do things ABC, and I think they try a little bit hard to be tricky dicky, and I think that can pull people up in certain circumstances. So, by the way, there's probably, so if we're going to do, is it race 6? Is that the quaddie start?
Yes.
GK, what are your numbers in the quaddie?
Well, there'll
You
be
can
3
do it. You
quaddies.
can do it. You can do it.
Well, there'll probably be 3 or 5 quaddies. So I'll do the wide one, and then I'll do a narrow one. So wide will be Hedged, Moravia, Inhibitions, Fortuna, and Ostraka. Narrow will probably be Moravia, Inhibitions.
Okay. Interesting. I won't give yours, Sooty, because they're in your channel. So we'll leave them for your subscribers. So race 7, 1,600 meters, GK.
Yeah, I like this race. It's a bit of form coming from everywhere. The tempo looks pretty decent, I think. Again, I think the pattern's going to be pretty important, but I guess the starting point for me was I just think Le Creek is overbet at present. When I saw that the bar plates had gone on the front, then I started to do a bit of a digging about the history of this horse. And like, I remember when it was here and it ran at Flemington and it ran a pretty big race. I remember it ran 4th. I think it was the Carnival 18 months ago or so. It's got a history of feet issues, this horse, right? So the plates on is just, that worries me straight away. Obviously, the booking of JMax big, and the race conditions obviously suit the horse, right? With set weights. So, it's hard to get away from it, but with all of those little variables, I just couldn't get it near this price. So when I started to dig through the other form, I loved the run of Osmos last time in that race. Like, I thought it was huge. Thought it was great run. Definitely the run of the race there. So I had something on Osmos. And then there's just bits and pieces. Like, I don't really know how to explain that run of Zoe's Promise, except for Malian just lost his fucking head and went too quick. But the run prior to that was fantastic. So, if we get back to that, then I think Zoe's Promise isn't out of it either. So, look, I've had something on Osmos. I potentially could have something on Zoe's Promise, but I'm just going to wait to see track pattern.
Really, Sooty?
With the good prices, I've got number 1, La Creek at $2.20. No bet, particularly with those bar plates. I saw the same thing. I went, no, thank you. Going back onto a firmer, or having a firmer surface this weekend than what we have been doing. Bar plates, Yeah, leave me out of that. Even with that price so short on the 1, I've got number 12, Conasana, as a bet. So it's 5th up now, Tommy from 6. So its last run there at Randwick was actually quite good. It's a little hard to tell with the sectionals how good it was because they went so slow and it went slow, but it was close to the best of the day. I think 4 and 2. So certainly it's on a knock. So you're going to say, okay, well, it's going okay. You look back
You
and
know, the
see.
thing is, sort of, if it's playing more like a 7, then this horse seriously comes into consideration.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, I don't think. I mean, GK's saying it's going to be worse than official rating, but not to that sort of level. So
Who fucking knows?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's very sandy there. Well, it looks of it. So you could be looking for beach sprinters. It's on just looking at it was soft 5 there on at Randwick. So I'd prefer a little bit of give. If it is a 5, and there is that top level cutting out of it, I don't think it's going to be it's going to detract from this horse. So more than happy to have the Sydney form coming from a Fillies and Mares 78 going into the Fillies and Mares Open. You look back at how it went in the Group 3, it's won that one. It was on the heavy tracks. I'm always against it, particularly when it was at long odds. It did win by 3 3/4, but it was 16-1. So I'm a little bit skeptical about that. But it's a winner. Yeah, it's had 10 starts, 4 wins. I'm against the toppy, even when I do market short, very, very short, with aggressive pricing. This is still a bet at $9.50. So I've got it around the $7 mark. More than happy to have it. I don't think there's too many other horses in the race. There's a bit of a clump behind them. But if Le Creek doesn't win, I think Konosawa is right there to pounce. So just one bet in the race for me so far. Number 12, Konosana.
yeah. GK, just give us your wide numbers for this quaddy leg.
Well, I definitely want to see the early pattern before I sort of know what I'm doing. I think I'll probably leave Le Creek out just for value. And I'd have Osmos, Conasana, Zoe's Promise, and I might put Foxy Frida in.
Beauty. I don't think the chances end there either. Which I don't bet into races like this because I'm scared of the favourite, but I don't want to back it. And then other than that, I can just see so many of the others being competitive. So, race 8, the Queensland Oaks, GK.
Yes. So, I guess starting point is the lead up race, the Roses. For me, the best lead up run in that race was Mare of Mount Buller. I thought it was a much superior run than the favorite. And I think the price discrepancy is ridiculous right now. Sure, Scarlet Oak wasn't stopping on the line, but thought it got a lot of favors there, and it's not going to get the same level of favors here. So I think it is unders, and I think it's a pretty open race if you oppose the favorite at the prices. Like Moonlight Magic was absolutely enormous in the Derby last week. It seems to be a key threat. I think Firestorm is over the odds. I think it's been good against the older horses. Molly Bloom, I can't get it that short. So look, at present, I've had a spec at a couple at double figure odds. It's a very low confidence race, but I definitely will not be on the favorite or the second favorite at this stage, and it will be wide and wider in the quaddie.
Beautiful. Sooty, can you help us out?
Hopefully. I did okay in the lead up. I got second, third, and fourth and got paid 0.
Yeah.
You mark.
Are you
mark,
going again, mate? Are you going again? That's the question.
On one of them. So I've got number 1, Molly Bloom on top. I've got it $4.40. It's currently 6, so it's a bet. I've recommended a bet on it at the moment. So with these horses coming from New Zealand, I like to see them do something here first before I start taking some of those ratings into account in New Zealand. So this horse last start started 3-1 in the Scarlet Oak race, was hampered at the start and wide throughout. So you can forgive that run. More than happy to be going back to it, looking at some of those really high ratings over in New Zealand, which is lined up pretty well for the fillies this season. More than happy to start looking at that. And if I look at that, look at the wide run, put it together, it's on top. I think it's going to go well. Happy with Blake Shin. Happy with barrier 10 late in the day. It's favourite in the lead up. Happy to be on it. I thought the danger was definitely Scarlet Oak. I looked at it though. Kermadec. I think J-Mac may have made some comment that I don't know if he thought it was going to be a 2200 metre horse. So happy to steer out of it at that current price. I'm going to back up again on Mare of Mount Buller. There's no $34 like last start, unfortunately. So I'll have to pay the tax. Hopefully barrier 2 is okay at this stage, but for the staying distances, I'm more than happy to be inside, even if the fence is a little off. It's 8th start this prep, but it did start very short in the Vinery. So I started 21 in the Vinery, which pricked my attention for last start. Failed on the heavy when it went up to Caloundra. Ran really, really well in that race last start, Scarlet Oaks. I'm ignoring the SP. I expected it to go much shorter. I think I had it single figures or close to it last time. So I'm ignoring the SP there. It's got a lot of creds for this. So I've got it $5.50. It's currently $9.50. I think it might have had a little bit of support in recent times for some reason, and has come in slightly. I think it's the best value in the race. And looking for $1 million to 1 shot, number 18, Firestorm. So this horse gets Nash on. Again, barrier 12, I'm not too worried about later in the day here. 6th up. It's got a little bit of DF here. It's coming from the 1600 metre race up to the 2200. Breeding, I didn't think there was a concern from memory. If that other form's not the right form and that whole race is pox, then this is definitely a chance. If that other form is the right form, those other two will run much better. But at 40 to 1, more than happy to take Nash, Waller with this horse here. So 3 bets in the race for me. Number 1, Molly Boom. Number 11, Mare of Mount Buller. And number 18, Firestorm.
Beauty. GK?
I already went.
Oh, did that? Sorry, quaddy numbers, please.
Oh, fucking, you need 10 minutes. But look, a couple of others I'll be putting in besides the one I mentioned. Good Banter is actually one that I think is a chance here. I think I didn't mention it when I was talking earlier, but I think it had that little break, then it had that first up run. I think it'd be better here. I'll put Ahariri in. It brings that form that the Derby winner had as well. And then the other ones I mentioned, Firestorm, Mare of Mount Buller, Moonlight Magic, put the faves in, and I'll probably put Miss Jolene in as well, which was huge last start, but it sort of was in the right ground. But yeah, and maybe if it gets a run, I'd probably throw Alamoana in as well, which is just DF as well.
Beauty, I am, look, I thought it was a very obtuse race and I don't have a solid opinion, or I couldn't find an obvious bet, but I am going to back a horse to win at least probably 40,000. So I'm going to back number 16, Unique Ambition. I'll probably be taking about 200s on the fair, so I'll have a jar bet 200 on it, and maybe I can pull off a sooty. So we'll see what happens, because I don't back I just think, you know what I mean? If those other lines aren't right, where's the DF? And I'm looking at a 3-year-old filly trained by John Sargent. He does weird stuff, and man, they can overperform. So look, guys, it is gigantic odds. So
well, if you do what me, Gord, it means you'll run second, but go to bed knowing that you priced it correctly and that
yeah.
over the long run you should win.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a terrible feeling it is to smash SP. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't think I'm suggesting they won't. Well, I mean, obviously, I've said it on the show now, so, but you know, anyway. Yeah, beating SP, we'll see. But I mean, guys out there, I don't often do it, and I've only backed one. I backed a winner at 400 to 1 at Bathurst one day. It's the longest price winner I've ever backed. Anyway, let's see if we can give it another crack there at Queensland Oaks. Now for the nightcap, guys. 1,200 meters. And as far as quaddie numbers are concerned, you're just saying leave it up to the crowd, GK. Just put a lot in. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, like in my wide quaddie, I'll probably have 8 in that leg.
Yeah. And unique ambition won't be one of them.
I did look at it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, mate. We don't need to talk about it. It's fine. GK race 9, 1,200 meters. What do you got?
it's a great race. Really interesting for a few reasons, but they've just released the final acceptances for the Stradbroke, and some of these are in. So set weights and penalties race, with those conditions, it's hard to get away from Marzu and Valana with these conditions straight away.
Well, you can get rid of Marzu because we're going to be on a good track.
Well, I was going to say it's pretty interesting blinkers first time. Like I was like, surely that's not right. And then I went through all of its runs and hasn't had blinkers that I could find. So that's interesting that they decided to put the blinkers on here. I know on a good track, it's not the same animal, but obviously it's coming through the premium form line. So it's hard to get rid of it entirely. I guess with Valana, I thought it was a good run in the BRC sprint. I don't think it was one of Nash's best rides, I will have to say, but gets J-Mac. I think it has to be the favorite here. There's probably a slight query about inside draw late in the day is sort of, one little negative there, but I've got Valana on top. I'm going to wait because I want to see pattern. There's a whole heap of others there if Valana doesn't perform though. Like all that pizzazz is going enormous. Opal Ridge is always thereabouts. I just think this is primarily a freshie. Like you look at its record. Its second up form isn't that bad, but it's also in the Stradbroke now. And then I see like the weight swing with Insurrection, blah 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 blah. I just can't go with there. There's a couple of others. What You Need is a really interesting runner here. I think it's a query runner. So look, I've got Valana on top, but I want to see pattern. I'm really interested in a whole heap of others. All that pizzazz, Lekvart, What You Need. They're runners that are really interesting to me. But yeah, I want to see pattern before I bet.
Beauty. Sooty?
Yeah, this was a funny race because I do use weight as a measure. I don't care about changes in weight, but I use it as a rating. These horses that have high weights and then come back to that low weights, I find that they find it harder to rate as high as they normally do. So whereas, you see these weight drops and you think, oh, yeah, look at these top ones. They just never seem to run the way they should based on your rating.
What do you halve the positive that you give, or do you have a number you use?
I kind of start ignoring the weight, and what I do is I look at its winning ratings. So what rates when it wins. What you'll find is a horse gets to a certain level and they win at that level. So they'll go up and they'll win at 54, 54, 54, 54. And even though they just say they're running away for age race, they'll rate 4 kilos better. They'll rate 58, but all their winning ratings are at 54.
Yeah.
So I just ignore all those other ones where it gets the funny too much weight or lower weight. Just ignore all those ratings and say, you're a 54. And this is probably something I've only done in recent times, which really helped me get away from these really well-weighted horses that they just don't rate the same when they do it. So, we're first looking there saying, oh, I'm just going to be against Marzu. I'm going to be against Valana. Marzu for multiple reasons. And then I got down to one here, number 8, Insurrection, and I got very excited. So the hard part is getting these scone races and trying to line them up. So away form's away form. So I'm looking for something else to frank that away form. And then I look at these runs here, and you've got this listed run at Randwick behind recommendation. That's the rating that I want it, that I'm rating it. Then you look back further, the benchmark 88, the 78, the 78. This is good Randwick stuff. It's July Randwick stuff, so it's maybe not good Randwick stuff, but it's Randwick stuff. And the ratings are the same. So it's the same. And that rating puts it on top in this race. So, when you look at the price and it's $9, $10, you've got to beat Marzu and Valana. Like, it's not as though you're running against Black Caviar. So now if you've got some credentials, you've got some good listed credentials, the weights ignored, where some of these other ones get advantages. This has to be some hope. Now, the problem's going to be the track. So if it's down the outside and you can't lead, you may as well throw the ticket in the bin. But I'm hoping that it's going to be okay, and it could actually be favourable to be up on the lead and be on pace. So that's a tick also. Looking for the danger. I think Valana's the danger more so than Marzu. The problem with Valana is it hasn't won since the summer of '82. It could be a wetty.
Is that a song?
No, that's the summer of '69. But it's yeah, it's not form for me. It's ratings where it's rated the last couple of starts, 52.5, 52.5. Its last win was 53.5 on a heavy, which I ignore. Then the start before that was 50. So I don't know if it's going to rate that well. Yes, it's got J-Mark. Yes, it's got 3. Yeah, it's got a great chance. It's the only other one I could back, but I don't think that's going to be too hard to beat. Some of these other ones are a little bit beaten up. So just keep coming back and saying, wow, this number 8 Insurrection is a great bet.
Yeah, I love the fact that both of you guys have ignored what was one of my girlfriends in number 15, Opal Ridge. Now, obviously, that was a fan. We're close to equal favourite here, and I think I'm going to leave the money in the bank from what I did backing it last start. I wasn't impressed with that victory. I'm totally against the horse. I clearly have Valana on top. Just ignore that 1350 last start. This horse is a 1200 meter horse. Now, if it was a bit choppy, we don't have a problem there at all either. But either way, it looks pretty good. Clearly, I've marked Valana favourite. I've given Mizzou none. I've got Mizzou double figure odds. And there's a horse here I've priced $12. And it's number 14, Lekvart, guys. And there's $36 available right now. Some of these, these horses that do really good stuff getting up in distance, previous preparation, they resume off just a little short course trial. If there's a lot of pace on, which I think they will be, Jesus, they can sprint well fresh. $36 to find out a horse that was airborne last preparation off a really nice little poke around trial. Look, I don't think they're really trying here. But who cares? It's one of those ones where you just sit, you're super balanced, and if you get a little bit of luck and you peel, you can rattle home and win this race. Good early preparation stats, and the 2 runs at the distance are reasonable as well, except in lower grade stuff. Anyway, I'm talking a lot about a horse that's $36. I'm clearly Valana is I've marked short, clear favourite, and I think a great roughie is number 14, Lekvart. Saying all that, GK, what are your quaddie numbers?
Marzu, Valana, this is wide. Marzu, Valana, all that pizzazz, Lekvart, what you need.
Oh, that is interesting. Okay. Sweet. And Sooty, what are you best on the program?
Like in the first race, number 7, Princess Rainis. I've got $2.90. Also keen at race 5, number 3, Yellow Brick. I've got it $2.30. Race 6, number 6, Inhibitions. I could have anywhere between $2.50 and $3.50. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant.
It's a bet.
Give it $3.50, mate.
It's a bet. And they're my best.
Beauty. And for everybody out there, sign up and get into the yard so you get the late information from Nick Meredith, who's going to be on track giving us the Mounting Yard Mail. And what people don't realise is that GK very generously gives all his professional information in that room. I actually ring him and say, stop being so generous. And he says, I can't help myself. I'm a nice bloke. But
definitely don't say that last bit.
GK, what are your best on the program?
Look, I'm just going directly head to head with Sooty here. Race 1, Age of Sail. Race 5, What a Goes.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
And we'll run 2nd and 3rd in both races.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thanks, Sooty, and thanks, GK, and good luck and good punting.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, good.